Audio check, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, I'm on 3. Huh? You want host left? Okay. So then we're gonna welcome them up to come around us. They're coming up this way. No, but if you've got it set up that way, that's fine. We can. Right. So you're gonna come up and sit here. Right, they're gonna come up and sit in 2, on channel 2. Okay, so and Lisa Ann will be on 5 or 4. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. Lisa Ann will be on. Hey, Chris, do you want to stand? I'll bring you up in a minute. This is a pain. Hey, welcome everyone. If you're in my earshot and you recognize my voice, raise your hand. All right, we got some SunCast fans in the house. My name is Nico Johnson, and we are about to kick it off live here at the PowerUp Live Stage, brought to you by Wärtsilä Energy Storage and Optimization. I see a lot of friendly faces in the crowd. If you have one of those faces that stayed out a little too late last night, well, you are in luck, my friend. The first 200 people to make their way to the bottom of the stairs right here will get a Bloody Mary. We do have virgin Bloody Marys for those of you who just want the nutrients, the iron, the magnesium, the vitamin C. Trust me, you are needing these nutrients because you are walking the trade show floor today, and it is going to be wild and crazy. We're live here at the RE Plus stage called PowerUp Live. We're in the lobby of Hall D. We're kind of downstairs, down below this escalator. I can't, hey, sound guys? Herman, I can't hear myself at all in the sound return. We're going to kick off a new segment today that we haven't done before. It's called Product Spotlight. No, check 1. No, I can't hear. And can I get some water? Yeah, water. Yeah. Just bring my bottle. It's in the side of my bottle. Check 1. Check 1. Now I can hear it, yeah. Yeah. And we're going to need to bring audio up in all of them. We'll need to bring audio up in all of the headsets. Thanks, brother. Preferably, yeah. Awesome. I can't hear you. Oh, I don't know. Probably not. Nope. Good call. Just toss that over. Thank you. Okay. I will take a Bloody Mary. Virgin, please, sir. All right, make your way over to the Bloody Mary bar. We're about to kick it off here. We call this segment Product Spotlight. We haven't done this before, but we thought we would highlight Christian Roseland because he's out in the crowd. We thought we'd highlight a couple of companies this year that are focused on the residential sector. Residential sector is experiencing tremendous growth, obviously, and we want to focus on how home electrification is changing the way that we interact with our homes, and also how are we financing all of these assets. So we're going to kick it off first with our friends from LG Electronics. I have Christopher Brott, the Senior Business Development Manager of Residential New Construction. Thank you for that, Graham. Round of applause for Graham Whitley. Graham is our showrunner. He has managed this stage. Everything you see here is because Graham is active and managing it. Chris, I'd like to welcome you on up, my friend. We're going to do a standing interview, if that's okay with you. All right. And you have to give us some feedback. If you can't hear yourself, then we'll turn the mic up in your headphones a little bit. All set?
There we go. How's
All
that?
Right. Fantastic. I can hear you, and I'm going to just play a little bit of, there you go. Perfect.
Nice.
All right, so we're going to kick off the product spotlight with LG. LG Electronics, how many in the audience have some LG device in their home or in their hand? I do, certainly. Every article of clothing that doesn't go to the dryer cleaners goes through my LG washer and dryer. which I switched over to from Samsung. You're welcome.
Nice, nice. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So Chris, we're seeing a renaissance right now in home electrification. LG has foregone the opportunity to take a booth on the show floor because you brought in this massive trailer. The trailer itself is pretty impressive. It's a mobile showroom. What would folks experience in the mobile showroom if they made their way out to the Arena Plaza?
Yeah. So Nico, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our arena, our mobile showroom, it's a fully kind of interactive exhibit. It showcases a lot of the LG electronics equipment for homes as well as businesses. We have a lot of HVAC equipment in there, heat pumps for heating and cooling a home. We have our heat pump water heater and some of our other water heating technologies out there for whether you're talking about radiant floors or whether you're looking to do heated water throughout your building. Well, we also have our Home 8 energy storage system out there as well. So come on out. It's a great chance to check out the equipment, touch it, feel it a little bit. LG does a lot to really make some more innovative indoor equipment. Our water heater looks great, if I can say that about a water heater. Some of our wall units, we call them our mirrors. You can actually get a nice reflection on it, kind of see how you're looking in terms of your kind of morning facial hair or whatnot. And then we also have our gallery unit, which is basically a digital picture you can put on your wall, change to your favorite doggy shot, your romantic interest of the moment, or change that picture if the romantic interest changes. Yeah. It's just a lot of ways to make the home just more useful and a better experience for everybody.
So the gallery in particular is a television, right?
It's an LCD screen, and basically what that allows you to do, well, the new product coming out. Currently it's a 2x2 print, but the new lineup, as you guys are thinking about products that might be going into your homes this fall or this winter, will have that kind of screen option.
Yeah. So a lot of folks are interested in heat pumps. Heat pumps are probably the hottest product category for home electrification outside of solar. How does LG think about integrating this concept of heat pump? I know a lot of folks are familiar with the LG sort of mini split, and it's in many ways a revolutionary technology for how we change the comfort zones in our home. Talk to me a bit about what's happening right now in this revolution with heat pumps.
Yeah. I mean, heat pumps are an older technology. I mean, we've been using them in our refrigerator for decades upon decades, right? But as they get used more and more for conditioning our homes, conditioning our water, it's just really a more efficient way to do it. If you think about space, where it's very, very cold out, there's still energy out there, anything above absolute zero, right? That's what refrigerants do. They take heat from one place and they move it around to another. So even if you're at -5 degrees here on Earth, right, like a heat pump is going to solve your heating and cooling needs, right? We're going to be able to cover that heating load. We're going to be taking heat from outside, pushing it into your house. In the summer, we're going to be taking heat from your home and pushing it outside. We're going to do that with probably about efficiency of 4, coefficient of performance, right? So for every kilowatt hour you put into your heat pump, you're going to get 4 kilowatt hours back in terms of energy either going into your home or going into your water. So it's really a way in which we're kind of just being more efficient. We're meeting kind of everyone's heating and cooling needs and really allowing this technology to kind of come into the mainstream and power our homes. I'm in Oakland, California. We went from kind of a gas furnace to an all-electric solution in our house built in the 1940s. So for a retrofit market, it works really well. For new construction, it's great because you can kind of put it in from the beginning and get everyone up to speed and understanding how that home operates. And it really is just a more efficient way to kind of deliver performance in terms of your heating and cooling needs.
Chris, it's become pretty commonplace for those of us in the solar industry to expect that you can monitor what's going on with your solar, with your batteries. Obviously, LG has been a long-time proponent and active manufacturer in the solar and inverter and now battery space. How then are homeowners beginning to think about and integrate that real-time home electrified experience that connects all of these apps in the home?
Certainly. I would say, Nico, I think that's a great question. I think, and it's really twofold. One, I think it's about what the individual pieces of equipment can do, right? And so with our heat pumps, with our water heaters, all of those can be fully integrated into what is our ThinQ app. So if you wanted to be just looking at what is the water heater doing, what is your heat pump doing, or for that matter, what your fridge is doing, right? Like you're able to see all of that in that single application. I think the other thing is that just as that's all kind of coming together, what the way in which heat pumps work is really helpful in terms of also that kind of that monitoring and that energy consumption of a all-electric home. When you think about what you're doing with your batteries, when you think about what you're doing with your solar, and the way in which heat pumps, specifically our inverter heat pumps, can kind of modulate, sure, we can go at 100% capacity. We can even go to 130% capacity if we really need to cool down or heat up a space. But generally, we're just sipping energy at maybe like 33% capacity or even lower. So we might be running a system on, let's say, like quarter speed, third speed, and really kind of making like efficient use of those kilowatt hours you have stored in the battery or you're getting off your panels.
Fantastic. Final question. A lot of folks, I feel, in the rush towards home electrification have this paralysis around, do I go all in on one manufacturer? What if I have preferences? I want maybe my Google Nest thermostat, but I want it all to talk to each other. What would you say to those homeowners that have a little bit of fear and trepidation about going all in on one manufacturer for their devices?
Sure. Well, I think a couple things. One, it's just the benefit of having all of that kind of in that singular experience, right? Having the equipment being able to speak to each other. Mm-hmm. I have a home that's using a lot of different pieces of all electric equipment. And it's not a major problem when you have to go to your phones and it's like, okay, I have 6 apps. All right, so what, right? But it's 6 apps that aren't speaking to each other, mm-hmm. right? And I think that that's really the benefit. The ability of these systems to kind of be able to communicate, have that all in one place. We're doing a lot on the innovation side to also think about things that the customer might not even want to see on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. But like as you're talking about scheduling your equipment to be at certain times of the day, to be on or off or aware of time of use. As you're thinking about how all this equipment can really speak to itself, like that's what we're leading towards and what we're really thinking about every day to make the user experience better.
Well, Chris, for folks that want to go out and check out the mobile experience, the mobile showroom, check out the Home 8 battery system, the heat pumps, the mirror devices that you're referring to, the wall displays, etc. How could folks easily find you here in what is an expansive RE Plus map?
It's big out there. We are in the North Plaza, so basically as you head around towards the arena, you're going to see us out there. It's the big LG mobile mm-hmm. showroom. You can't miss it.
It's right off of Catella, right?
Yes.
Yeah, also. Chris Brott is the Senior Business Developer for Residential New Construction at LG. Thank you so much for taking your time
Nico, thanks
to
a lot.
be out here with us. Thank you as well for being here in our audience. You can just hang it right here. If you are coming down and you're having a little bit of trouble hearing, we have these amazing headphones. Perhaps you've seen some folks with headphones. Alex here is holding them up. We've got like 60 of these. So if you want to just actually tune right into the conversation and tune out the din of the hall, please go pick up a headphone. The only thing Alex will charge you is a business card. So please listen on headsets. I can promise if you were wearing a headset right now, you are hearing me probably a lot louder, like the gentleman here in the front in the mauve shirt. All right, next we're going to welcome our friends from Sunstone Capital and Sunlight Financial to the stage. Very nice to see you all. We've got Ren Scott and Julia Piper calling me on my phone. Julia, please report to the PowerUp Live Stage. Hey, Graham, can you reach out to Julia? Or Lisa, reach out to Julia. We've got Ren Scott and Duncan Hinkle from Sunlight Financial and Sunstone Credit, respectively. Ren is the head of solar business development and marketing at Sunlight Financial, and Duncan is the chief commercial officer at Sunstone Credit. It's awesome to see you two on the stage together. I feel like this is a revolution in the way we think about residential home finance. Am I right?
Yeah, really excited to be here, and I think the partnership here is only getting started.
Yeah.
I think there's a variety of kind of companies that have kind of coming together and creating just a diversity of options for consumers, for businesses, to help streamline the solar finance process.
Yeah, I think we're super excited to be here. Appreciate the opportunity. Like Ren said, this partnership's just getting going, but there's an opportunity to give installers and contractors the ability to address all their deals, all their needs, all their potential financing options with a single team, and so that's what we're working on building.
bear with us as we work on the audio. I don't know if it's going up and down for you, but it certainly is for me. I think it's dialed in good for me now, Herman. There's a lot of shared history between these two companies. How does that shared past influence how you guys are moving together in a partnership? And maybe explain, for those who are unfamiliar, the union of Sunstone Credit with Sunlight Financial, which was previously a publicly traded company.
Yeah, I can start. I think Josh Goldberg, who is now kind of the CEO of Sunstone, was an initial kind of founder of Sunlight, and kind of came back and helped to orchestrate this partnership. And so he played a big role in bringing in, we've got Cross River Bank, Greenbacker, Sunstone, IGS, and so a bunch of different companies. And they kind of Josh has kind of been the focal point there. And so there's also a bunch of shared teammates. I guess I'll let Duncan hit on some of that. But at the end of the day, one of the things that's super cool is when combining companies, it's hard to combine cultures, it's hard to combine technology, it's hard to combine the way people think about things. And having that shared history and shared way we think about the future of solar and the business has been just enormously helpful in the way we do things.
Yeah, Ren and I worked together for 5 years at Sunlight, which was a great experience for me anyway. I can't speak for Ren, yeah, I think there's certainly a lot of that overlap, which makes it sort of easier for us to partner. And I think both companies sort of bring a similar approach to the space. Like we're both sort of technology, experts really believe that that's sort of instrumental in driving efficiencies, making a better experience. Yeah. We're focused on the installer, so trying to provide a way for installers to grow their businesses, close more deals, be easy to work with, and then a focus on the consumer, just making sure we're providing the right products and the right experience for that end user.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of change, a lot of ups and downs, shall we say, in the market over the last couple of years. Certainly the last 18 months have been what we joyously refer to as the solar coaster, certainly in the residential side. What are some of the key learnings, and what could installers expect from this union of the two companies in terms of services and coming out of what we all expect to be sort of now the upward trajectory of the residential market? What's the message that you have for installers on what sort of new products they should look for?
You want to start on this one?
Sure. I mean, I guess I can speak to from the Sunstone perspective. I think you nailed it. Like we really think, like if you look at the history of the solar industry, like has experienced like transformative times during the hard times, right? The growth, the foundation for growth is set during the hard times, and we believe that's absolutely the case now. And I think part of the impetus of Sunstone was to give installers that want to access a new market, that really want to attack that small commercial. Small to medium-sized commercial solar space, like aggressively get after it, open up that new sort of source of revenue for them, like give them the financing options, the scalable financing options to do that. And so like we're really excited as like you said, the macro trends are there for a lot of growth in resi, in commercial, and so as we start to hit that upswing, we're really excited to see contractors sort of grow and really attack this small to medium-sized commercial space in a way that hasn't been available before.
Yeah, and I'd add, I mean, the main learning, I think, for us was that incentives need to be aligned between the sales rep, the installer, lender, homeowner. And at the end of the day, that has to come back to making sure the homeowner's benefiting. And so, like, I think that was always the goal, but sometimes the incentives were misaligned, and even if you don't intend those incentivize some of the wrong behavior across the board. And so, as we think about, the future, like, there's been a great movement to making sure we are getting products that benefit the homeowner, providing the homeowner with options, and at the end of the day, like the industry relies on homeowner satisfaction and great service to homeowners. And so I think what you can expect, like you've got a unique partnership here with Sunstone, Sunlight, IGS is in the mix, they have a TPO product that's integrated to our platform. There's a variety of other products we're going to integrate in our platform that probably not ready to announce just yet, but you're going to see a variety of options that you probably didn't have before, and all within one platform, one roof. You're also going to see, you're going to see things that are done to making sure they benefit homeowners that are already being done, from continuing companies requiring confirmation calls and just making sure the homeowner understands and creates the value. Yeah. And then you're also, we are in a position to start innovating again, which is exciting, which the industry really hasn't necessarily seen for the past couple of years. And so you are going to find ways to drive lower payments. And so all the similar values are still there, from lower payments to making sure as many homeowners can get access as they can, and you're going to see a lot more evolution towards that as well in the coming 12 months. So.
It's going to be an exciting 12 months for sure. I'm curious if you guys, outside of the product innovations have any other sort of, what is it that you are looking forward to and most excited about as we do come out of this trough? In particular, homeowner consumer protection is a big opportunity for us. I won't say it's a big issue, but it's a big opportunity for us. But is there anything else that really excites you and that you're structuring the organization to capture?
You had a good answer to this one. I'll let you tee it up.
Man, I don't remember it now. So, yeah, no, I think that, like I said, I think the macro trends here are really strong. And so, you know, electrification, like we're talking about today, you know, there's also rising utility prices continuing. Like none of those things are slowing down. And so, like I said, we're really excited about the opportunity there and excited to bring some of the technology focus, some of that installer focus to bear, so that you know the people in the audience can go out and seize those opportunities. Yeah. So you know, when I think about innovations from the Sunstone side of things, you know, continuing to integrate some of the provisions of the IRA into our financing products and making it easier for business owners to sort of capitalize on those is something that we're working really hard on. And I think you'll see more action from us on that, and also just continue to be a safe, stable source of financing. As people grow their businesses, they need to know that we're going to be there to fund, and I think we've proven that through all the difficult times with both companies, and so excited to keep bringing that to the market.
Duncan and Ren, as we wrap up, I have a quick question on growth. As we prepare for this growth, and you guys are servicing hundreds, maybe perhaps thousands of installers, any tips around how they can harvest in this critical period and how they can really have stable growth?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think I don't want to pretend to know an installer's business better than they do. I think they're the experts here. But as I think about it, I think what's really important is to think about the partnerships you have. There is third-party risk, and make sure you're partnering with people that fund quickly and help your business be healthy. 2, focus on cash, not necessarily growth. Like one of the things we learned in the space was like no decision is worth kind of growing if it's not profitable. And so I think it's really important to make sure we have installers that get credit lines and have healthy balance sheets. At the end of the day, the installers are key and are just vital for us in the business. So.
Yeah, no, I would absolutely agree with all that. I think, again, focusing on the commercial world, there's a lot to learn in that space. Like Ren said, I'm not going to pretend to know that world better than some of the people in the audience who are dealing with permit offices, dealing with interconnection queues, dealing with all those sort of things every day. But they are new, and so when you go after that and you're starting to take those steps to get into those markets, go as fast as you can while still being, making sure that you're keeping an eye out for potholes and the things you don't expect.
Well, when you're sprinting as fast as you can, you need a good support team. And as Ren rightly pointed out, you want to make sure that the folks that are handling the operations, the folks that are supporting your team, really have the right system in place. They have the right backing behind them. And it's clear with Sunstone and Sunlight Financial that you guys have consolidated into a worthy partner in that way. I encourage folks that are listening to go check you guys. Do you have a place here on the show floor where folks are meeting? Do you have a meeting space?
Yeah, I think we were kind of prioritizing meetings over the booth. Yeah. And so, yeah, we are in the Hilton. We have a meeting room, I think in the Pacific area. Yep. I'm not sure, but right up the escalator we have a meeting room. So come see us, and we'd love to talk.
We've got a whole army wandering around here. So find anybody with a logo, find anybody with a business card, and we're more than happy to speak with you.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you guys taking time to come by the PowerUp Live Stage and help us better understand what's happening in the innovative space around credit, finance, and consumer credit for these innovative products. Home electrification is a hot topic right now, and few are doing it as well as Sunstone and Sunlight Financial. Ren, Scott, and Duncan Hinkle from Sunlight Financial and Sunstone Credit, thank you very much for joining us on the PowerUp Live Stage.
Thanks, Nico.
Thanks for having us.
Yep, all good. Thank you, sir. All right. Check. All right, we'll be kicking off our morning show live with Lisa Ann and Nico here in about 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. I see the ever popular Julia Piper coming up on the stage. Good to see you. If you can hear my voice and you had a little too much to drink last night, you like some nutrients in your body, we've got a Bloody Mary bar. First time down, yeah, that's fine. We've got a Bloody Mary bar brought to you by Landgate, our friends at Landgate. are providing all of the nutrients you need, iron, calcium, magnesium, right here in one solid. And are we gonna have the confidence monitor here? The confidence monitor is not on, so I can't tell what camera we're on. And then Graham, can you put this on 25? Yeah, somebody's just got to do that between every one. All right.
He did 15.
Yeah. We got 25.
All right.
All set? All right. All set?
Yeah, I'm set. Ready to go. Let's rock and roll.
We got Jason Steinberg and Nate Giovanelli chopping it up in the audience. Good to see you guys. All right, if you can hear my voice, please make your way to the PowerUp Live Stage. We are live in the lobby of Hall E, the Hall of Lobby E.
We are the cool kids in the basement.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Well, we've moved out of the pure basement. Last year in Vegas, we were totally in the basement. They don't like it when we refer to the downstairs as the basement, just for what it's worth.
We're getting signaled.
Here we go. Welcome, welcome. We are live from RE Plus in Anaheim, California.
That's right.
I'm Nico Johnson, your host for the PowerUp Live Morning Show, brought to you by Prevalon Energy, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Lisa Ann Pinkerton.
Greetings, Earthlings.
It's so good to see you. If you are not yet a listener and fan, as I am, of the Earthlings podcast, please do subscribe to the Earthlings podcast. It is fantastic. If you are having trouble hearing us, come down and grab one of these these silence headphones, the little blue headphones that Alex has. It'd help you listen without the din of the show floor.
I think those are a great idea.
We have a lot to talk about here, but first, the first 200 people to our Bloody Mary bar, which is going fast, will get a Bloody Mary, so don't miss out on it. If you are needing a little bit more nutrients, please come down to our Bloody Mary bar.
Thank you to Landscape for that Bloody Mary bar.
Landscape, you are amazing, but it was actually a conversation that we've had for a couple of years now.
That's right.
It's a brilliant idea because you come up with lots of brilliant ideas at Technical Communications.
Thank you. I've been trying to get somebody to do a Bloody Mary bar for years.
Indeed, well, we've got it now this morning. So if you're watching us on the Jumbotron, it's so good to have you all here in Anaheim. We're honored to partner with RE Plus every year to produce this morning show. It's a variety show, kind of like the Regis and Kathy Lee show back when I was a kid.
It's the Cliff Notes of RE Plus. Everything you need to know and everything you don't.
So speaking of everything you need to know, if you've got your phone out and you have not yet downloaded the RE Plus Connect app, I would encourage you to grab your phone, go download the app. It's better than ever. Even Lisa Ann and I have been communicating on the app, and we're friends. So we've connected on the app, we've chatted on the app, we've mapped our activities on the app.
That's right.
I can tell you this is the best ever that they've implemented this app. It's by a company called SwapCard, and RE Plus Connect is a phenomenal improvement over years past.
And we've got the Master Series as well. The Master Speaker Series is coming up. All pass types can gain access to the Master Series. It's in the Hilton. It starts at 11. And one of our guests today on the show is in that Master Speaker Series coming up.
And a reminder, that is in the Hilton upstairs, and that is all pass types. It's been open to all pass types. We also have the Agrivoltaics Showcase. That's happening in the Arena Plaza. What's happening tonight?
The block party is tonight at Angel Stadium.
You know what else is happening tonight is
Solar Fight Night. That's right.
So you got two amazing activities back to back, the block party at Angel Stadium and Solar Fight Night. We also have a few interesting sessions that you should check out. There's Powering the Future, AI and ML, Innovations in Energy. That's happening at 11:30 over at the Industry Trends Theater. That's all the way down the other end at Hall A.
I'm also really interested in this Advancing Hydrogen for the U.S. through Hydrogen Hubs. That is at 1 p.m. today on level 2 of the ACC, which is the Anaheim Convention Center.
And of course, if you guys have been here in years past, Emerge Alliance powers the unplugging ceremony. The whole Grid Edge Theater is an entire microgrid. It is completely off the grid, and that'll be turning on or turning off the convention center, turning off the convention center power at 10:30, right after the show. Make your way over to the Grid Edge Theater. There are tons of exhibits up on level 3, and if you had a chance to listen to the Know Before You Go episode, we did a visual of the map area. We've expanded the show floor quite a bit this year. It can be a little confusing. That's why you should download the app. We've got folks over in the Westin, in the Sheraton, in the Hilton.
The Marriott.
The Marriott Grand Ballroom has some folks we'll hear from in just a minute. And of course, we have all of the halls of the Convention Center, including down here in lovely Hall E.
Cool kids, down here.
All right, so one of our favorites in the world of trade shows is swag.
Oh,
and if you are
yeah.
familiar, every year we do a swag contest. Thank you to Prevalon for not only sponsoring the morning show, but bringing us some of your sweet swag. I'll be taking this home with me. And if you would like us to take some of your swag home, then you should bring it down to the PowerUp Live Stage, because every day we're going to be evaluating who has the best swag. I can tell you that currently in the lead is our friends from Heliovolta and Solar Grade. They've got a fantastic shirt that you should go check out. It has Einstein with a hard hat. It is
Ooh,
absolutely,
I like that.
Absolutely brilliant, because intelligence comes from the field, Lisa Ann.
Oh, yes. Well, thank you for that reminder.
So what should folks know about the swag contest?
People should know that we are going to have semifinalists every day, and then a finalist on Thursday. The winner of the swag contest gets a guest spot on this show.
Guest spot on the show, and they also are going to get some extra goodies that we'll talk about tomorrow. If you win, we will announce semifinalists tomorrow, so make sure that you get in the running. Bring your swag, drop it off here, and we also have a giveaway. If you can see Josh right here, Josh Beck, he's got this backpack on, modeling it. Get in our giveaway and win a cool backpack. We like to say that this RE backpack keeps your food cooler, SunCast keeps your content cooler.
That's right.
And we welcome you to come and hang out at the PowerUp Live Stage. We're going to kick things off here today, Lisa Ann, with one of those folks that is over in the
Marriott.
Grand Ballroom. Santiago Estrada is the CEO of QBI Solutions. Santiago and team have quickly become a key player in enterprise software management for renewables. QBI was actually born from a long history of their team managing assets for companies like SunEdison, Terraform, M&A, and many others. They're one of the many innovative companies over, like I said, in the Marriott Grand Ballroom. Santiago, welcome to the PowerUp Live Stage. Good to see you.
Thank you, Nico and Lisanne. I'm humbled to open up the PowerUp show.
Yeah, so Santiago, you guys are what I like to refer to as this wave of entrepreneurship that is birthed from a lot of the pioneering companies. We mentioned SunEdison, obviously, SunPower. There's a lot of alumni that spin out businesses from within these large organizations. And despite that some of those organizations are no longer with us, the companies that they have birthed do stick around, have stuck around. QBI is one of them. Tell us a bit about that history of QBI.
Yeah, it's a very interesting history. We're very proud of the heritage. You know, some of the folks here around us, they remember those days when SunEdison, SunPower, all those guys, they were really kicking in. So at some point they found out that they said, hey, we have a very complex organization going on. The operations are just crazy. So we have a multi-technology portfolio in development, in operation, in construction. We need something really unique to manage all this. Nothing existed at the moment. So they said, okay, let's put the brains of the smart people in asset management, the development, and IT and systems together to create a platform that ties all the information across the whole business together. And I'm talking everyone. I mean, technical performance guys, financial guys, contract management guys, in operation, in construction, in development, wherever the technology. So since that did not exist, we needed to invent it. So I always like to say that we are a technology that is proven to solve a real industry problem. Nobody was doing it, now we're doing it. So fast forward these 5-7 years, maybe it's not the marketing approved definition of QBI, but I always like to refer to QBI Solutions as the big hammer destroying silos in organizations, because you know how companies grow. They grow organically, inorganically, so very fast lately in any case. So all departments, all teams, they manage to grow, finding the solutions that they need for each of them. But a technical solution team does not equally equal the needs of a financial team. So they grow independently, and then they need their systems to talk to each other. And they can't. That's where we come in. We're going to be tapping off to all those different systems, financial, contract, technical, and bring it all in QBI so you have everything under one platform.
And so with this asset management software that you've developed for these projects to make sure they deliver on their promise, what sets you apart from other renewables-focused software?
Yeah, it's a good question, Lisa, because again, we are not just an asset management tool. We are not just a development tool. We are not just a financial management tool. We are all that. We are a business management tool. And I think that comprehensive coverage of the solutions we bring to a company is what they are looking for, because they already had the bits and the pieces. Another thing that I think would differentiate us from other players out there is that we really cover the whole life cycle of a project. So either if you're a pure play developer that is just developing and flip, or you're a, I don't know, third-party asset management company that is doing, outsourced asset management. Of course, if you're a financial owner or something of the sort, we can help you. So it's not only all the stages in the renewable energy ecosystem, but also every team within those companies. Again, we're going to be helping BD guys, asset management, financial. So all this multi-access solution that brings, I think, is what makes us really unique.
It's like the connective tissue between all of these different
And importantly speaking, because we are not only a technology native company, but we are renewable energy experts.
Yeah.
So when a company comes to us with a problem, they don't need to explain us, endlessly the problem, what the problem means for them. We know immediately what the problem is.
Yeah, I find that that comes out all the time, especially even in media, when I don't have you don't have the time to explain exactly how your company integrates into the rest of the industry. It's a key differentiator, actually. It's a key feature because you were born from development organizations. You've been servicing development organizations. One of the things that I find is people have an amplitude of options that didn't exist before, and it can be confusing sometimes to vet these platforms. What are some of the critical elements that you recommend folks focus on when they're trying to choose between one or the other platform?
Yeah, I would say clients come to us with a variety of issues or variety of pains. Yeah. And we always say, guys, we can help a lot of you, meaning all the teams, but it is difficult to make your organization, to focus everybody at the same time and fix everything from day one. We always tell them, guys, let's identify your biggest problems. For you, it might be that you have a problem with your contract management situation or your performance management or whatever. Come to us, explain us your situation today and how from there you want to move on. So we always try to advise, hey, let's try to understand your problems, because when you come to QBI, you're not just getting a software vendor that you just connect with and that's it. You really are going to get a partnership. What we say is that we are going to be your scaling partner. For that to happen, we need to know you. And by knowing you, I can advise you, okay, we start with this and then move on to the next thing. So it's an incremental setup.
Amazing. Well, Santiago, I mentioned that you're over in the Marriott Ballroom. For folks who want to find you, what's the booth number?
That would be 1527. Thank you, Ethan Ellis. That's my video sales. Thank you. Saving the day
Marriott
again.
Ballroom 1527.
That's right. Meet us there.
Fantastic. Santiago, thank you for taking time to be here on
It's a
the
pleasure.
morning show.
Thank you very much,
Santiago.
as usual.
Our next guest needs...
Whoa.
Sorry, you can just Julia, when you put it down, just hang it on the hanger. Our next guest needs just about no introduction. She is uniquely positioned to give us insights on clean energy and climate topics. Okay. Sure.
I won't be able to do it then.
No. He's got...
Let's keep going.
Yeah, let's get you to turn this. All right.
All right.
No introduction. The illustrious Julia Piper.
I may need an introduction, guys. I don't know.
Vice President of Communications and Public Policy at GoodLeap, also co-host of the popular Political Climate podcast, and former co-host of our morning show until she got too busy with her day job.
Gosh, time is such a precious resource.
It is.
Having a 1-year-old, it all just went away.
Julia, I was listening to your most recent podcast episode of the DNC, and one point that stood out to me was that how standard concerns around voters, such as the economy or local issues, are also actually climate issues. And then when I listened back to the RNC episode, there were some similar attempts to reframe climate issues as economic issues. So I'm curious to know, is that something that you're seeing as a trend on both sides of the aisle?
Yeah, so Political Climate, the podcast, went to both parties' conventions, and it was interesting that neither party really addressed climate and energy on stage, maybe the way a lot of people might have wanted them to, let's be honest there, but those conventions are often about the side events, and climate and energy came up a lot. And to your point, Republicans and Democrats in those forums were both talking about the core values of a clean energy economy. They use different words, they have different visions for what that may look like, but I feel like the core concept is no longer up for debate. You saw 18 Republicans come out and say they supported elements of the Inflation Reduction Act. Now they have a little bit different views on what elements they might want to save, but in our very highly polarized and very slim margins of holding on to power in Congress, just a few votes makes a difference. So if you see Republicans saying that they want a clean economy in their backyard, and by the way, over 80% of investments from the IRA so far have gone into Republican districts, That's meaningful, and it shows the staying power of that concept. However, we can talk more about the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, and what might be at risk, because there are different views, and we will definitely see some change depending on the election outcome this fall.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on some of the things that are at risk, and also, while in the same vein, you spend a lot of time advocating for sound policy and ensuring that homeowners, when they go solar, actually have some security around that. And the interest rate of their financing is one of the key aspects of that. It looks like we might be getting some softening of interest rates. I'd love to hear the impact potentially of what's at stake for the IRA, and then how homeowners could be impacted by some softening in interest rates.
Cool, so I'll take them in turn. So Inflation Reduction Act, everyone in this room is probably really familiar with that. We've heard President Trump already come out and say, and we heard from consultants to him recently, talk about how they would probably put a hold on any grants and any sort of government funding that's not already allocated and out the door. And you'll hear in a moment from David Crane, who will tell you a lot more about that. But that would be something immediately that would see shifted. Now you have the whole tax credit buckets, things that could be changed by a change in legislation or a change in guidance. So folks who are paying attention to the domestic content, 10% bonus tax credit that's available to a lot of solar projects, or the energy communities tax credit. We do not have final guidance on how those tax credits work. So that means a new administration could come in and immediately revoke the way that works, slim those down. So if you've got investments, supply chains, projects underway, how that all works could change immediately depending on the outcome of the election. So those are just a couple buckets there. But I think on the whole, the IRA is not going to just vanish tomorrow. You asked about interest rates, so putting my day job hat on at Goodleap, where we finance all kinds of solutions in the home: solar, storage, heat pumps, roofing, windows, doors, drought-resistant landscaping and EV charging, you name it. We do historically do loans. We now offer leases and PPAs, I'll add. And I think that's important because the whole landscape is shifting in the residential sector right now. Yes, interest rates may come down, we never know. But we talked about the election, anything from tariffs to immigration policy, et cetera, could change the interest rate and inflation outlook. Meanwhile, I think you have domestic content. I mentioned the bonus tax credit, which is really making these third-party ownership models look really compelling. So even if interest rates came down for the loan side, what happens with the incentives could really change the landscape for what type of financing looks good when you want to go solar in your home.
Lisanne, I wish we had more time, because we could do a podcast with you all day.
That's right.
You're such a natural on the mic. Thank you for taking time. I know you have until 10:30
Thanks,
that you have
Julia.
to run off to. Thank you for being up here on the stage. It's
So
good
great
to have
to
you back
join.
on the morning show.
I love it. Thanks for having me,
Yes.
fitting me in. Cheers.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Cheers.
Well, if you have at all been involved in or are an enthusiast of outdoor sports, you'll recognize our next guest, in particular rock climbing. He is no doubt a legend. He's a guy who has taken climbing to an era where folks really do recognize climbing as a popular public sport. None other than Mr. Alex Honnold.
Hello.
Good to see you, Alex. Thank you for joining us here on the morning show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
When you're not scaling difficult pitches, you are taking on the monumental and commendable task of solving the world's problems with solar. And I think that one of the things that's interesting for me when I found out that you actually donate a third of your income, and have so since you were what we affectionately refer to as a dirtbag in the climbing community, through the Honnold Foundation. I would love to hear why you, of the many things that your foundation could have focused on, decided to target solar energy, and in particular underserved communities for that asset.
Well, so like you said, I mean, I've been donating roughly a third of my income since I lived in a van back in the day, and that was partially because my basic needs were met. I was doing everything I loved to do. I was spending all my time rock climbing outside, climbing big walls. I loved it. That was great. But I felt like I should be doing something useful for the world, and obviously I care about the environment because I spend all my time on the biggest, most inspiring mountains of the world. And so I wanted to protect the environment in some way, but I also kind of knew from climbing expeditions to the remote parts of the world that nobody cares about the environment unless their basic needs are met. And so I started looking for environmental projects that also supported communities, supported standard of living for humans in places. And those sorts of projects were most often solar projects. And so then after several years of supporting solar projects, we just explicitly made it our mission at the Honnold Foundation to support community solar projects around the world.
Can you give some examples recently of the projects that you guys have activated around serving these underserved communities that have really what we refer to as energy poverty?
I mean, it's quite wide now. Like, we've done quite a bit of work on tribal lands in the U.S. Work in the Amazon. It's like now we've sort of, because there's such a demand for this type of work, like we do an open call for grant applications, we get tons of applications, and so we really get to cherry pick the very best projects. And so we typically choose projects that have several orders of benefits. You know, like we supported this project with solar-powered boats in the Amazon. We're sort of like, oh, rural communities can access, you know, it basically, but it prevents the need for cutting roads out to some of these communities by lowering the cost of transit, and that in turn reduces deforestation and illegal mining, things like that.
Yeah.
And so you have these knock-on benefits that are good for the environment more broadly by using solar in a way that's, you know, yeah. So basically, we have tons of projects like that, but it's always solar-focused in ways that help the community, however they see best.
Yeah.
You know, like
that butterfly effect is really beautiful.
that's, I mean, that's what we aspire to.
Yeah. I mean, I find it fascinating that that solar energy is not just for a house, but it could be for a boat. It could be for all these different types of applications that can reshape a community in ways that you might not have thought of before.
Yeah, we've also supported communities with refrigeration projects and like water pumps and things like that. I mean, basically energy access. I mean, energy provides everything around us. You know, it's like people are moving up and down magically. It's like that's energy use. You're sort of like it just provides for community in so many ways, and that's what we're trying to help.
The work you do is also around, where are my notes here?
In the philanthropy.
That's right, mobilizing corporate philanthropy. And I'm curious to understand, how do you mobilize corporate philanthropy for these projects? How do you interact with these corporates to get them engaged?
I don't know if I'm the person that I literally just ask. I'm like, well, we're supporting great work. I'm donating as much of my income as I can to these great projects. We would love to get support from anybody else who believes that these are worthwhile things to be supporting. I mean, I think, I don't know, I mean, I think maybe historically a lot of, especially in the solar industry, maybe people have done a lot of in-kind donations. It was like, you can have excess panels and like excess inventory and whatever. But I mean, what we're doing, we just find that the communities just need money. You just need to give grants so that they can finance the projects that they think are most important in their communities. Like, you don't want to just dump extra stuff on them and be like, this is what you need.
Yeah.
It's like, listen to your partners and do what they need, which is often just funding the solutions that they've come up with.
A great partnership that you've had over the years is with Carrie Hayes and the REC Solar folks. I know you guys have been friends for a long time. How are you guys what are you guys specifically talking about at the Master Speaker Series, which is in roughly 32 minutes?
Yeah, exactly.
32 minutes up in the Hilton. We got to get
You'll
him
make
over
it.
there.
Don't worry. You'll make it.
Yeah.
They'll wait for you, Alex.
We'll see. No, honestly, I have no idea what we're talking about. I think we're just having a chat. I don't know. We're talking about solar and philanthropy, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Chat
So I know,
with Carrie should be fun.
having read the show notes, I know you guys are going to talk a little bit about some of the tribal communities that you're supporting. I think you have 3 new grantees that the foundation awarded, and obviously just chopping it up with Carrie because you guys have done that a fair amount.
Can I just butt in and ask a question? What I find fascinating about, I used to rock climb, but I'm not very good at it because my palms sweat, so I can't get very far. But what I find fascinating about the work, the climbing that you do, is that there's obviously a lot of risk involved, and there's a lot of attention to your mind when you're on a cliff. How could you take something that you've learned from that experience and translate it to corporates who ought to be giving more in the philanthropic realm?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I will say one lesson that I've sort of taken from climbing is calculated risk or managing risk. And I think that at the Hunnell Foundation anyway, we probably have a slightly greater appetite or tolerance for risk maybe than standard philanthropy. Because I sort of feel like if you're aspiring to help the people who need it the most, there is inherent risk in that.
Yes.
Like if you're going to the most remote communities, there's always a risk that projects will fail, that organizations will fail, whatever. But that's kind of built into trying to help the people who need it the most, is that there's a higher risk of failure. And you take that on knowingly because you're trying to do the right thing. And so I think that at the Hunnell Foundation, probably because of years of rock climbing, we just have a slightly higher tolerance for that kind of thing, and just accepting that the world is uncertain and we're still going to try to do the right thing.
Thank you. Yeah, the world is uncertain, and we get to be okay with that.
Yeah.
Well, Alex, we appreciate all the work that you and the Hunnell Foundation are doing. Thank you so much for contributing to the underserved communities and helping to elevate these folks out of energy poverty. I would encourage folks that have the opportunity, please go over to the Master Speaker Series. It's happening on the 2nd floor up where the general session was this morning. At 11 o'clock, you'll be with Carrie Hayes and the REC folks. There's an hour-long conversation, 2 different sessions on exactly how the Hunnell Foundation is impacting these communities for good. Thank you, Alex, for everything that you do.
Thank you,
thanks for
Alex.
having me.
Look forward to seeing
Yeah,
you
appreciate
again.
it.
Thank you. You're an inspiration.
Thank you, guys.
I'll take that for you. Awesome. Thank you. Let's get the queen.
Okay. All right. Finally, we're delighted to... Oh, sorry.
Next.
Not finally. Next. Delighted to introduce our next guest, one of the OGs of the energy transition, someone who led renewable energy at a time when many people might not have been in agreement, and he preserved that to the end as Undersecretary of the Department of Energy in the Biden administration. So please welcome the remarkable David Crane.
The inimitable David Crane. Good to see you again, sir. Had the amazing pleasure of interviewing you recently at the Next Tracker Factory Tour in Pittsburgh.
That's right.
It's good to see you again.
Good
Busy,
to meet you, David.
hard
Thank
at
you.
work putting steel back in manufacturing here on domestic soil.
And you know, we're experiencing a renaissance here with solar. It's been happening for several years. It continues to happen. But we also know that manufacturing, more installations, grid modernization, all these things need to happen to really allow solar to thrive and achieve what we can all envision it to be. So my question for you is, how is the DOE leveraging these investments to help expand clean energy spaces?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, but no thanks for having me go after
Alex.
Alex and Julia. It's like, this is like totally intimidating. I've never followed such cool people, so just to be the dry fed here. So actually, first of all, what we're doing on the emerging technology side of the DOE is we're actually just trying to duplicate the success that the solar industry has had over the last 15 years across a range of other technologies, but do it faster. And of course, we're also trying to de-risk solar and other key clean energy technologies by, as you allude to, like working out the value, the supply chain. So we have a new manufacturing supply chain office that's putting $15 billion into manufacturing in America, everything that we need in solar. So that's a work in progress. But I just also want to mention that solar is very important to us because we actually have these programs, green hydrogen, long duration energy storage, industrial decarbonization, where solar is the key building block. Solar's an input.
It is the cornerstone.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we can't succeed without the continued success of this industry.
David, what are some of the highlights from the bipartisan infrastructure bill and the Inflation Reduction Act over the last couple of years? A lot of focus was on community involvement and engagement. A lot of focus was on reviving this aging infrastructure, and you've been put responsible by Secretary Granholm for championing that charge. What are some of the results and signs of progress?
Well, one of the things, we sit next to the Department of Transportation, and so sometimes we're sort of sensitive, like they're getting out there doing horizontal construction, building roads and bridges. The lead time in lots of areas of energy are longer term. So we're very proud of the commitments that we've gotten people to make on community benefits. Unions and other skilled labor has been at the table, across our programs. But I would say, to directly answer your question, and remember, we're just phase one at this point. It's been 2.5 years since the bipartisan infrastructure law was passed, and it gave us $80 billion that we could deploy against grants and $250 billion of loan authority in LPO. And on the grant side, we're on track by the end of this calendar year, which is important.
Yes.
To be have 97% of our money selected and 2/3 of it under contract. And once it's under contract, it cannot be undone, or has never been undone in the history of the United States government.
Yes.
Yeah, that's encouraging.
Yeah.
So
never been undone.
And you also put out a summer progress update recently.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know what stood out for you in that report that you want people to remember as they're circulating the halls and meetings of RE+.
Well, I think one thing, since those of us in the energy business, the electricity business, we can get a bit caught in the bubble, but all of us have the same alignment on doing something about climate change. Is like one of the programs I get totally excited about is the industrial decarbonization. And I knew a lot of CEOs when I became a government person because I've been around for a while, but I did not know CEOs in the area of steel, aluminum, concrete, cement. And embedded carbon is probably the biggest issue that historically, because hard to abate. And our goal has been to sort of change thinking about that. This is not something that we can address starting in 2035. We need to address it this decade. And the willingness of companies in that area to I was in Indiana, second largest cement plant. We gave them $500 million for comprehensive decarbonization. They put $550 million of their own money in. So industries that you wouldn't have expected that are sort of on the opposite end of the philosophical spectrum from the solar industry are getting with the program, and the solar industry has to support them get out there and provide them solar electricity.
Well, the Office of Infrastructure is certainly getting behind it with over $13 billion in committed funds. We're certainly grateful for all the amazing work that you're doing. It's brilliant of Secretary Granholm to bring champions of renewable energy like yourself and Jigger into the DOE. So many fine folks that you guys have working there. I just want to say thank you on behalf of the industry and Lisa and myself for joining us on the morning show and for championing the infrastructure being renewable.
Okay,
Thank you.
Nico, thanks for having me.
Good to see you again, sir.
Thank you.
Lisa.
Thank you so much.
Great to see you.
I'll take that headset. Oh, and last but certainly not least, one of the beneficiaries of all of this infrastructure growth are the companies that are out there developing and building, operating and maintaining these projects. Our next guest is Andre Kangusu of Res Group. Andre, join us up on the stage. Andre joined Res Group as the CEO of Americas this year after more than 2 decades in the power sector, notably at GDF Suez and Engie North America. We're going to talk a little bit about the work that Andre and the team are doing at Res Group in the face of an evolving landscape for project developers. Andre, it seems like everyone is growing their share of the pie, as it were, in terms of the services. Beyond the traditional playbook of the traditional development company, perhaps you can explain a bit about, under your leadership, how Res Group is taking a look at moving beyond simply being viewed as a DevCo.
I think it's a natural move. It's an evolution of a pure developer or construction company, offering a more comprehensive suite of solutions to our customers. There's a lot of, Secretary just mentioned, industrial players, for example, moving to the space. Sometimes they don't know how to develop. They don't know how to build. They don't know how to operate and maintain those assets. They need someone to help them with digital solutions to further optimize those. So it's offering more to all the players that are coming into the renewable industry to be able to help them fulfill their sustainability ambitions.
And also, digital solutions are something we're hearing that's new from RES here at RE+. And didn't you recently launch a digital solutions business? What's driving this expansion?
I think it's we have 4 businesses: development, construction, services, and the digital piece. The digital piece is to help customers to unlock value in their operations, in their maintenance. So it's to offer data transparency, to offer kind of what I like to call democratization of data, for them to be able to see how their assets are performing, to be able to do predictive maintenance, to be able to extract more from the assets, how they are operating on a daily basis. So it's another solution to the customers. We don't want to do it all, but we want to have different touch points, different engagement stories with different customers. And it serves the purpose not only to players that are not familiar with the industry, financial, infra funds, or industrial players, but also to the strategic players, traditional utilities, strategic investors that are familiar with the business, offering off-the-shelf or not off-the-shelf digital solutions to them.
Andre, you're one of the many companies who, in lieu of having an exhibitor booth, you have a meeting space. So how would folks find Res Group if they wanted to learn more about the exciting digital solutions that you guys are bringing to bear, or understand how it might benefit them as a customer?
I welcome everyone to visit us at the Sheraton Harbor Ballroom. That's where our lounge is, and we're going to be able to show everything that we can do to help our customers on their sustainability and renewable ambitions.
Well, we also would welcome everyone to go check out, beyond the convention center, all the many opportunities that you can find folks around the show, like Res Group over in the Sheraton Ballroom. We mentioned some others that have meeting space in the Hilton over in the Westin. There are a plethora of opportunities, and you have many places you could have been this morning, and we appreciate you taking time to join us here on the morning show. Andre Kangusu is the CEO of Res Group Americas. Thank you for joining us on the morning show.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you, Andre.
Thank you.
All right, so we're wrapping up here. We have a few minutes left, maybe not even a few.
Not even a few.
So, pro tip of the day, put your phone on low battery right now. It is going to save you so much later on in the day. Low battery mode. That pro tip comes from Laura Glickman from last year. I use it all the time now.
Absolutely. As we mentioned, Solar Fight Night and the block party are tonight. If you'd like a chance to win 2 VIP tickets to Solar Fight Night, don't forget to join our our giveaway. We'll be announcing those 2 ticket winners. You must be present to win at our daily roundup here at 5 p.m.
This is huge.
It is huge. And
Never
there's an
before.
opportunity. Never before have we given away tickets at the show. So 2 free VIP tickets. We also have the backpack. Please sign up for our giveaway. Tell your friends. Must be present to win. And if tickets are still available for Solar Fight Night, you can still buy a ticket.
Yes.
And what is it that we want Post to bring here beyond?
Bring your bling, people.
bling.
Bring your swag. We want to see it. We want it to be in our contest. We want to evaluate it, give you a little shout out on the show, and help people understand what makes good swag.
Winners will be announced on Thursday. Please bring your swag down. Give it to our team here at the PowerUp Live Stage. I'm Nico Johnson, your co-host, and
I'm Lisa Ann Pinkerton, CEO of Technica Communications and co-host with
has,
Nico.
This has been the PowerUp Live morning show brought to you by Prevalon Energy. Join us again each morning at 9 o'clock starting tomorrow.
Yeah, earlier tomorrow.
And come get, even earlier tomorrow after Fight Night, you'll want one of these Bloody Marys.
You'll want a Bloody Mary.
We're signing off. Next up, we have a fantastic session with our friends from Navigating the Grid. They'll be coming up in just a moment. What 4-letter word can make or break every renewable project in the United States? You'll find out coming up next.
fine. Okay, just 1 second. Stuck.
Do you want me to get mine out?
Welcome everyone to the PowerUp Live Stage. We're excited to have you here today as we dive into some amazing conversations and insights. But first, we'd like to give a big thank you to our presenting sponsor, Wärtsilä. Wärtsilä is a global leader in innovative technology and life cycle solutions, shaping the future of energy with sustainability at the forefront. It's through their support that we've been able to bring this stage to life today. Today, I am really excited to welcome you to our podcast, Navigating the Grid, sponsored by Radiant Generation. I'm your host, Kelly McPherson, and today we have a truly special episode for you. We are coming to you live from Anaheim, California at the 20th anniversary of RE+, the largest gathering of solar energy professionals and stakeholders in North America. I'm thrilled to introduce our guest today, Jim Stewart, Associate Director at NERC. Jim is here to discuss one of the most pressing topics in the solar energy space, secure and reliable grid performance and standards, ensuring grid reliability as we face this energy transition. We'll dive into the challenges and opportunities that come with ensuring the reliability and security of these vital components in solar energy deployment. So get ready for an incredible insights as we explore how these advancements are shaping the future of our national grid. Jim, I'm so excited to have you here today. Thank you so much for coming.
Well, thank you for the invitation. I really do appreciate it. With our technical problems as we got started, no wonder you have Bloody Marys over on request.
It wouldn't be an RE Plus without some of that.
Anyway, thank you for the invitation. Look forward to just speaking about how registration and standards are moving forward, and hopefully provide a little bit of education for folks that are interested in that. And I would hope that everybody who is building commercial facilities and industrial facilities that involve interruptibles will be interested in what we have to say.
Yeah, Jim, I know you've committed a lot of time this year to getting the word out to the industry, so we're really excited to have you here, where we have 40,000 plus of our friends that are committed to this energy transformation and grid reliability. So tell us more about NERC. I'm sure there's folks here in the audience that don't know the history and the mission of NERC, and why this conversation is so important. To me, I feel like it's so important for people to understand that grid reliability and focusing on that is actually what's going to ensure a successful energy transition.
Agree with that. Agree with everything you said. NERC has been around for a long time. The role that it has really stemmed from the Northeast blackout that occurred back in 2003. People may remember, may not remember, but there were over 50 million people that lost power for varying number of hours and days. And following that, the U.S. President and the Canadian Prime Minister put together a blue ribbon panel to examine the causes of that, and they came back with some recommendations, and Congress acted on that and created, first of all, gave FERC the authority to regulate reliability, and then also created the role of an electric reliability organization. NERC applied for that or presented a application for that role and was picked to do that in 2006. And in 2007, it became the North American Electric Reliability Corporation.
So NERC really has this great history here. It started out as a cooperative of folks that really cared about reliability on the grid, and then has come together to really formalize this process and standards. And so as we're looking at grid transformation, we've seen it's really been a pivotal year for regulatory compliance, especially with NERC. So previously, inverter-based resources were required to register with NERC and comply with the standards that NERC put into place. They were 75 MVA, Connecta, NERC KV.
Right.
This year we're facing some challenges and some changes to that registration criteria. And a lot of that comes out of NERC's mission, because NERC is seeing that we actually need to we need to change that definition so we can have a more reliable grid.
Thank you. Thanks for that introduction. That's exactly right. So NERC really has about four missions. One of them is to develop and enforce the reliability standards. The standards are developed with industry's input. Industry has to approve has to approve the standards, and then it goes on through the NERC board and then ultimately to FERC to approve. Also has a responsibility for seasonal and long-term reliability assessments. We also pay a lot of attention to the real-time system awareness and how the grid is operating across the lower 48 and Canada. And then also it's responsible for educating and training and certifying operating personnel.
It's a huge mission that NERC's on to ensure the grid is reliable, and I think none of us want to see that blackout like we saw in the Northeast before. And I think it's interesting as we look at what NERC is doing and where they see the risks for inverter-based resources, and they've done a lot of studies and data to understand the risk to the grid.
No, that's exactly right. NERC has had a events analysis program for a number of years that came into being really in its mature state about 2010. And in 2016, I think most folks that are in the industry know about the Blue Cut fire.
Yeah.
In 2016, there was a pretty serious study done of that. And then also there's, unfortunately, there's a whole handful of events that have happened since then that have resulted in reports. Yeah. And a lot of those just point to the fact that not only were inverter-based resources part of the event, but also some of those facilities, some of those entities that are not subject to registration, they don't meet that criteria that you mentioned just a minute ago, are also part of those events. And so there's just if you get on the NERC website, you can go to the events analysis reports, and there's report after report after report where those factors that I just mentioned were in play.
And I think what the really important thing here is what we learned from the Blue Cut Fire was not that there was malintent or lack of trying, it's that there's a lack of knowledge and an understanding of how inverter-based resources affect the overall grid reliability, and therefore, this change and this study into it and trying to figure out how do we mitigate the risk of inverter-based resources. And I think at the end of the day, folks that are here at RE Plus, I think everyone here wants to see inverter-based resources be successful. We know where the industry is headed. We know how great renewables are for the grid, and it's part of this dialogue to actually help people mitigate that risk.
Agreed. That migration of energy production from traditional sources is just it's going full tilt at that, and so I wouldn't say that I think everyone wants to do the right thing. However, what we found is the just publishing the results of the studies, the events analysis reports, making recommendations to industry and so on, still hasn't gotten us there.
Yeah.
There were some events even that occurred as recently as last year, and those analyses just indicate that we're still seeing many of those problems that we saw previously, and that just can't go on.
Yeah.
Maybe I can talk a little bit about some of the trends that we're seeing, and then also the response to that.
Yeah, because they're real trends. I mean, NERC is committed to studying what's actually happening. This is data-based. This is not just a regulatory mandate.
Right.
There's mandate behind it, but it's really based on data around grid reliability.
Right.
Yeah, so tell us what you guys are seeing in that event analysis.
So to start with capacity, between 2012 and the projection, or the numbers for 2022, there's really a peak capacity reduction because of retirements and lack of new build of over 4%. That's a lot. That's a lot. You couple that with NERC's study for between that same time period, 2012 to 2022, there's been a 3% increase in summer peak. So demand is going up. Our capacity hasn't kept pace with that, and that's really, really troubling. In addition to that, NERC does transfer studies and examines risk for geographic areas in the country. And if you just look at a map of that, there's an awful lot of red that says if we have a bad set of circumstances, there's real risk of forced outages.
Yeah. I think we saw that in Texas over the summer. We've seen that across the board, across the grid, those challenges.
Right.
Yeah.
So in addition to that, one of the things that we're seeing is that with increased IBR integration, just a couple of events that I'll mention, there's over 60 gigawatts of wind capacity in the Midwest, and there was an event that occurred middle of 2023 where that entire capacity was limited to only 300 megawatts of output. That's staggering to imagine that, because of transfer capability and difficulties.
That's not a reliable grid.
No. And we've seen similar things with some of the cold weather events that I'm sure most people are aware of. So it's really critical that we get on this.
Yeah.
So in November 2022, before that, NERC had been looking at solutions. If we're going to change criteria for registration for generation, we're going to modify that. Where is the right place to set this? What should we be doing? And in November 2022, FERC ordered NERC to prepare a work plan to accomplish, first of all, change the criteria,
address the standards.
Within 90 days to present a work plan, basically to get those IBR resources under mandatory regulation, mandatory standards. And so
and that's really important. Like FERC is pushing for this. This is not going away. This is something we are going to address. And I think people have put their head in the sand a little bit and said, well, hopefully this is not going to happen. But that is not the case, and there is activity. Just last week, there was a workshop working on those standards, how to integrate these IBRs into the NERC standards. So it is a steam train, and we are on the tracks full force here.
NERC doesn't really have a choice. I mean, it operates under the authority of FERC. FERC approves the standards, It approves penalties, assessment of penalties, all of those kind of things. And so with a FERC order, we have to comply. So anyway, 90 days after we were ordered to prepare this work plan, we proposed and FERC's order also said you've got 3 years to get this done. So the first year we devoted really to changing the criteria for the registration of these generators. The second year, which we're in the middle of it, they really run May to May. So start of 2023 to 24. Second year started May 24 to May 25. And then the last period, of course, is a year later. Anyway, the first year we used to develop the criteria for registration. I think most people in the crowd know that those non-BES facilities that you mentioned earlier, 100 kV, 75 megawatts, that has been lowered to an aggregate of 20 MVA, which is a significant change, and also voltage down to 60 kV.
Which is really significant. The 60 kV is so significant, and that 20 megawatts, and that's what comes out of the event analysis.
Right.
That's all these events that we've seen over the last 10 years. That's what the data is telling us, is that those assets at that level are impacting reliability.
And in addition to that, without going, catching that last 0.5% or 1%, this means that about 97.5% of all of the facilities that are will be registered. Those are the ones that'll cover the entire population that would be making a difference in these events.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a really interesting year here as we finish out 2024 and head into 2025. So, what do we have? What do we have ahead of us here as we are, facing this change and transition? And what should folks be thinking about?
So, likewise, as you mentioned earlier, FERC also said you need to change the standards to accommodate this, and so there's enormous work that's going on right there with that. There were, I think, 4 standards. 3 of them were approved by the ballot body. Industry did not approve the last one, and so the Board of Trustees has, within the rules of procedure, an opportunity to modify its approach to standards, and so they had the Standards Committee convene a meeting in Washington, D.C., 2-day meeting last week to develop modify the existing the proposed standard, and then the board will solicit comments to that, and then they have the opportunity to either act on that or do something different.
Yeah, and this is history in the making. So for those of us in regulatory compliance, the Board of Trustees at NERC has never done this before.
Unprecedented.
Unprecedented times. And that is because this grid transformation is happening. These inverter-based resources are coming online. This is the future of our grid, and reliability is important. And so therefore, we've got to make these changes to the standards so that we can integrate these new assets. And then also, I think to wrap up today, we've got a lot of folks that own these types of assets in the audience today and here at the conference. What's the takeaway here? I think a lot of people ask, can you grandfather them in? Do you have to be compliant? I want people to understand this is happening. This is unprecedented times, and we need to be paying attention.
If you don't mind, I'd like just to go back. The reason for this unprecedented action is that the board has never done this before, but we have a deadline, a FERC-imposed deadline of having an approved standard from NERC to FERC to consider by November. Yeah. That's not many days away.
No. And normally it takes years.
There's a lot of hand-wringing that went on at the board to try to, we don't want to basically leave industry out of this, but we've got to act because, as you said, regulation says we've got to do that. So my advice for anyone who is a project developer, a project operator, plan to be an investor, would just stay involved with it. I would immediately reach out to your regional organization and registration. There is going to be more and more outreach on this, and there are really great resources. If you look under activities on the NERC.com website, there are 2 references there that will give you a status report of the IBRs, what's coming next, the next steps. And then I guess the other thing I would just say is please just get involved with the standards development process. Absolutely. The standards need to be approved, are expected to be approved by industry You've got to be registered for the ballot body in order to vote on that. And maybe you want to even participate on a standards drafting team. Industry's been doing this ever since 2007, and it's vital that we have industry's input, because NERC certainly needs that expertise from industry to weigh in on how the standards ought to be written, because they can tell us how to comply and so on.
Absolutely. Well, we are really grateful to have you here. We're grateful that NERC wants to do this outreach, that they really do mean what they say, that this is an industry put together of all of the stakeholders. So thank you for being here, Jim. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for tuning into this special episode of Navigating the Grid, live from the 20th anniversary of RE Plus in Anaheim. A huge thank you to our guest, Jim Stewart and NERC, for sharing his invaluable insights into the challenges and opportunities surrounding the secure and reliable grid. The role these technologies play in the reliability and security of our energy grid can't be overstated, and we're grateful to have had this opportunity to delve deeper into the topic. Until next time, stay tuned, stay informed, and keep navigating the grid with us.
All right, we're live once again here at the PowerUp Live Stage. If you can hear my voice, raise your hand. All right, that's definitely all of the folks that have our wonderful silence headphones on. If you would like to join us here at the PowerUp Live Stage, Alex is holding up headphones. It'll make it really easy to tune in. You can actually walk around right around here. I think it has a distance of about 100 feet. we'll take your business card in exchange for that. Thank you for coming and taking time to be with us here at the PowerUp Live Stage. We're podcasting throughout the day. You just heard an episode with our friends from Navigating the Grid. What four-letter word? I can't remember the rest of the title, but it was fascinating. They talk all about grid integration and the transition to a more robust renewable energy grid. One of the things that makes our transition to a robust renewable energy grid possible is our ability to absorb renewable energy at a time when we can't use it. Batteries are the key to our success there. And today we're going to talk with one of the leading battery manufacturers and the guy who is leading the charge in the sales department over at Evlo. For those who are unfamiliar, Evlo has a deep history and tradition at a company called Hydro-Quebec. Our friends to the north are the largest renewable energy provider in North America, Hydro-Quebec, given their vast quantities of hydropower born in the name. I'm joined by Martin Réau. Martin leads the sales and business development for Evlo Energy Storage. Today we're going to talk about how Evlo was born from this deep heritage in research development and utility experience at Hydro-Quebec. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Nico, for having me here.
You know, Martin, one thing that stands out for me as someone who has been in the industry for 20 years, I can appreciate the decisions that we make in our career that often can be very pivotal. They can change where we live. They can change how we interact with our families and our colleagues. You were a partner in a very well-respected engineering firm in Canada where you were in charge of renewables. You basically were the top person in this organization leading the renewables division. It takes a long time to achieve partner status in many of these engineering firms, yet you made a critical decision to step out of this essentially tenured position, like the equivalent of a tenured position at a university, to step back into that of an entrepreneur effectively at a startup. What was it about the pull of the battery sector in general and Evlo as a company that convinced you to leave this cush position and jump back into the startup world?
I love the cush position. Thank you for reminding me that. But in the end, you see the growth trajectory of the storage. It's just phenomenal. And being in a firm where obviously renewables growing, we saw that like storage was to be booming. And at one point in time, I wanted to be much closer. I mean, I'm an electrical engineer by trade, so storage is like the unicorn of electricity. When 20 years ago we were talking about it, so combine that plus a local aspect to the job that was offered at that point in time, and the growth possibilities. To me, it was something to be tried. And I guess if we were to ask a homemade survey here, I think pivotal changes in career is something that we need to embrace at one point. But choosing renewables, choosing storage is definitely a cushy choice in some ways, more today than it was before. But
certainly, yep. And you chose Evlo, I believe, because it is being birthed out of a very stable business. I think that there's probably a lot of folks in our audience here in North America who maybe are unfamiliar with Hydro-Quebec. Talk a little bit about the legacy or the history. Give us a history lesson, if you will, of Hydro-Quebec and its role in the Canadian energy sector.
So you made me do some homework, I guess. Trying to compare hydro to a U.S. utility is a bit hard because compared to a state-owned type of fully integrated utility, so there's not too many. Imagine a Southern company, for example, like state-owned.
Yep.
So it's massive. We talk about 200 terawatt hours of sales of electricity per year, 40 gigawatt of installed capacity, and 20,000 plus employees. So it's a big thing. When in Quebec, hydro is definitely the big thing. So going and joining in the booming market, choosing a company that is that solid with that history was really a no-brainer, Nico.
And is there anything in particular that that Hydro-Quebec, from an infrastructure position, brings to the marketplace that you, as someone in Canada who kind of understands the lay of the land, felt gave you a whole lot of confidence in the technological advantage?
Yep. The way they are fully integrated, when we think about it and we take a step back, they totally need. for the first few years, even before the name Evlo, build custom-made product for the grid challenges of tomorrow, years before. So I think that the way they are integrated, the way it's state-owned, they had the ability to build that expertise before others.
Indeed, and indeed, Hydro-Quebec has a pretty deep research and development team. What are some of the initiatives that have spawned technology out of the research center?
Well, it's quite amazing, and we're fortunate enough to have our offices right on the campus.
Yeah.
So every day we drive to work, and it's really the best environment you can dream of. And while the high voltage lab is one example where they test up to 1 million volt equipment, and they invented the
Did you say 1 million volt?
Yeah. So it's massive building. You can it's bigger than this place for sure. But they also invented like a 735 kV class. So they built stuff from the ground up for decades. So it was just making sense to build other innovation along the way.
Yeah, one of the innovations along the way that people probably don't realize is that Hydro-Quebec was one of the early pioneers developing and patenting the lithium iron phosphate, LFP batteries that we all kind of take for granted now as the iron horse, like the lead horse in the race, as it were. It wasn't always that way, and I recall very well, the conversation around lithium ion, around iron phosphate, and different other chemistries. In the late 90s and early 2000s, Hydro-Quebec was really instrumental in developing LFP as we know it today. Could you talk about how that pedigree, that history of research and development LFP led to ultimately launching Evlo?
Absolutely, and I have to say I plead guilty as well. I didn't know all about that because it's not necessarily super public about those research and those 800 patents, for example. But really, the fact that they have developed and commercialized the LFP gave us at the time a leg up to select who's going to fabricate at that specific specification and performances. So being able to fully understand the electrochemistry in it, but putting into a ready to commercialize product, because we're no more R&D phase. We need to be commercializing stuff. So, but using the deep knowledge was really the way we used the research lab of Hydro.
I think it's really important that you mentioned the term commercialize. I said patent, but obviously LFP was patented at the University of Austin in the early 90s, and that commercialization process is one that it leads to manufacturing. It's something we'll also is often in the news today. But I wonder, after 20 plus years of that commercialization process, deciding how and where to manufacture the product, how did folks at headquarters at Hydro-Quebec actually know that it was the right time to spin this battery platform out as a standalone business?
So, and you're right to say it's a specific point in time where the project justification were making sense.
Yeah.
The product were at the maturity stage where it was making sense to build the large scale, and they were identifying needs on their own grids as well, and beyond frontiers as well. So at that specific point, they said, well, no more R&D, build a product like is appealing for utilities and sell outside. So at that specific 2020, we launched Evlo, but the mission was really to go from an R&D stage to a fully commercialized product. So it happened at that specific moment.
Well, as a BES company born out of a utility, you have the advantage of primary research, being the fact that your number one customer, your most important customer, is in fact your parent company. Could you talk about, and you mentioned your company offices are right there in the headquarters facility. Talk about that proximity to your top customer and the impact on product development that it has.
So the impact on product development is phenomenal in a way that, utilities are more conservative in many aspects. So bringing the de-risking mindset, the expertise and technical expertise mindset is a different ball game in an industry where it's a lot of putting batteries in boxes. It's a lot of a pure commercial play. But in the end, we're trying to solve like a very difficult equation, the energy transition.
Yeah.
So you need to know more about what's the end result. End result is decarbonizing a grid and making sure that storage is really leveraging all of its attributes to the mix.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that one of the keys to success for you all is, in fact, this not just having a utility as your parent company, but being incubated inside a utility, being on the campus and be able to reach across the aisle, as it were. and interact, ask these critical questions around product development so that you can iterate quickly. What do your customers see as the advantages born from that pairing, and how is that communicated to the marketplace?
So there's one common element I see in customers today trying to build projects. Well, the products themselves are evolving. I mean, obviously density is one metric, there's many others. But in the end, they need to keep up with their team, with the fast-paced technology evolving. We need to take this fast pace, they need to connect it to a grid, and equals reliability in the end. So really what we bring, probably what speaks the most out of a utility speaking to another, is connecting fast evolving technology, de-risking it with our skills, and putting it to market so it's gonna work.
Right.
So that specific element is really unique at this point.
Yeah, one of the things that utilities have to sort of require and prioritize ahead of all other things is safety. Yeah. And I would imagine that safety is in fact paramount for Evelo as well, being that you get this first-hand experience. How has that increased the overall sort of reliability or safety factor of the battery as a product?
Well, I'm not sure who's really knee-deep in storage and on the floor today, but really how fast those standards are evolving on safety is just crazy. But again, these standards are table stake. Today, you need to go to the market with a solution. It has to be certified, UL 9540, name it. I mean, there's a whole list. So I think the expectation in the industry for everybody, like even if you're born out of a utility or not, is there. Having that extra care about, let's say, how to integrate, and that the depth to which we go to de-risk, not only the product but the project, is probably making the difference in the eyes of many.
Well, let's talk a bit about the different points of entry for complexity in these projects. Obviously, it requires many different electronic assets, from PLCs to real-time device servers, computers, switch firewalls. Every grid-connected device in a storage unit represents a potential entry for cyber threats. How do you handle that?
So the way we handle it is, you talked about our campus, and we call it the test line. I mean, we'll find a better name, I promise. And Marie, take note, we'll do better. But the test line is really a real-size site that we have on a real grid, and we cannot disturb anybody. I mean, we cannot cause an outage or anything. But we are testing real-life equipment with real scenarios. So in the end, cybersecurity is also something we're going to test. So we're bringing the full real-life equipment that would be installed to a site, and we do a penetration test, for example. We're going to do assessments right in our yard before shipping it to site. So it's all about anticipation. I'm sure if you ask the IPPs on the floor today, schedule is critical in every case.
Yeah.
Putting cybersecurity in a box later at commissioning, we all know it's not the right way to do. So we bring these topics way up front. We de-risk it on our test line, and we bring customer.
You mentioned de-risking, so along the way as well, to be able to test and quickly iterate, there's a lot of manufacturing components that go into it. Obviously, domestic manufacturing is a topic du jour. Could you talk a bit about that critical path issue as it relates to Evelo and how you are de-risking that pathway for your customers?
So we de-risk the pathway in I'd say de-risking the pathways with our customers is transparency. A lot of what we do is being super transparent with the customers and bringing them, again, I'm repeating myself on that one, but bringing them on site, having or offering them the possibility to touch the equipment, testing it, seeing what's behind those sometimes black box, we hear it in the market, is our way to solve that issue that we see in the market today.
Yep, and I understand that a number of your components are in fact manufactured right in Canada and here in the United States.
We have a strong component, and you know what? It's domestic content is a table stake today. So I mean, it's writings on the wall. It's known. It's being now a criteria for selection.
Right.
So there's no way to avoid it. So we're pioneering in having a strong content, and we want to keep that position as a leader to be having that strong domestic content everywhere we go. So it applies to Canadian project, U.S. project, but also overseas.
Yeah. Well, the DNA of any utility business is one that is conservative by nature. It's also focused on resource efficiency. I'd love to hear some real-life examples of the BES integration and how it increases efficiency and does reduce those project risks that you pointed out. What are some of the aspects of that DNA that contribute to the overall product development?
So there's a few aspects. So if we start from the journey of the beginning of a project, the first thing you're going to probably do, and I think the colleague right before here at NERC, I mean, it has to do with application, queuing. But we do the extra mile, and we have a full set of hardware in the loop type of testing. So we provide the assistance to the customer to help their grid connection with having advanced model, validated model, provided to them, working with them to have the right application. So the last thing you want to do is to be stuck in the queue somewhere for 5 years and having to stick with one set of data and not being able to refresh it. So we go and we spend more time and effort in modeling. So the modeling side of it is really a bit of a differentiator. And after that, testing it on the test line, but also going to site and having a more thorough testing protocol. So the DNA side of thing is the way we've been doing projects, even for Hydro-Quebec. Like we didn't have it necessarily easy. We had to go the extra mile and prove and demonstrate that our process was thorough and detailed. So a bit of the feeling of coming to a supplier that is, yes, so full way of assessing the grid and the DNA of the utility without being one. So your question was a bit about the nimbleness. So we're nimble, we're separate, even if we're owned by one, but it gives us speed to react, speed to act, and bring the best product possible to the market.
Yeah, and I see that as one of the key advantages of being able to spin out of the utility is, in fact, utilities are not known for being nimble. They're not known for being hyper proactive. One of the things that is evident is that Hydro-Quebec is proactive in their research and development, and the ability to see the opportunity when it presents itself and spin the battery company out is, it is part of the innovative cycle of where we're at in the industry. Martin, thank you so much for taking time to explain a bit more how this innovative technology spun out of a utility. I think it's a fascinating topic. It's one that is often not really that talked about. So I appreciate you taking an opportunity.
Something for you today. So we're obviously launching Evlo Synergy today, which